Hello, my name is Alun, and tonight I'm facilitating the first session of two, might become four, depends how it goes, a two-shot of my own game in development, a PbtA game in development called Eotenweard, which is my cod Anglo-Saxon for Guardians Against the Monsters. It's a word that crops up somewhere in Beowulf, I'm told. This is a game set in the late 500 to 600 CE. So it's the Dark Ages. It's a couple of hundred years after the departure of the Roman legions from Britain, but it's another couple of hundred years before the proper age of Vikings. That said, TV programs like The Last Kingdom and Vikings are decent touchstones for the way that society looks. We're a lot earlier, but the look is pretty much the same. Nothing much happened in that couple of hundred years. It's a game in which a group of heroes chosen by their gods or supernatural patrons to be members of the Eotenweard, a semi-mythical, legendary band of people who wander the countryside, wander from settlement to settlement, confronting a rising darkness, protecting the innocent from the monsters, if you will. And it's a game that is intended to be quite gritty, quite a kind of serious, gritty Netflix series. So not high fantasy. Magic is very low key, such as it exists. And the gods they're important to people. The ordinary people's experience of the supernatural is real to them, and our characters to some extent are connected to that supernatural. So that's the broad pitch. This game, like all my games online, is organized as part of the Open Hearth gaming community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about Open Hearth, then please do search Open Hearth gaming community. Come and find out about us. Come and join us. We've got a celebratory Star Wars weekend of games coming up on the 4th of May, around about 4th of May. Come and join. Come and play with us. We think we've got a decent table culture that you might enjoy. Part of that table culture is that we are very keen on the idea of safety tools, making sure everyone's comfortable at the table. And because there are a couple of players in this group that I've not played with before, I'm gonna kind of just explain what I mean by safety tools. So in this game, we're playing with lines and veils. Lines are things which won't appear in the fiction. And I'll direct the players to look at the safety and links tab in the character keeper, because I put some starting lines in there. Those are things that I don't particularly want to be in a game about. And if the players have any other lines they want to add, they're very welcome to, and there's some space on there to add some lines that I haven't thought of. So those lines are lines we won't cross. If anyone feels that we're getting too close to those lines, then I will ask them to let me know. Veils are things that can crop up in the fiction, but if and when they do, we will fade to black. Because I'm old and British, for instance, consensual sex always fades to black. That's not something I really want to be describing on screen. And I've also put some starting veils on that tab. And if the players want to add veils, fine. If they want to upgrade a veil into a line, equally fine. There's also a couple of other options in there. If I go there, you'll see that there's an ask first, which is kind of a veil or a line that somebody might want to be asked about first. And also there's a column there for things that people are genuinely interested in seeing in the game. And I'll try to lean into those interested. So we're using that as our base for safety. We're also playing with the X card. The X card is something that anyone can play at any time. Because lines and veils can't predict everything, something may come up that makes one of the players or me feel uncomfortable, at which point they can play the X card. Now, I'll say to the players, either put it in the chat, in the Zoom chat, or, because I tend to look at your faces on screen rather than the Zoom chat, show me the X. And that will just pause the fiction, pause the game. I won't ask you, why you're uncomfortable with the material. I might ask, how far you want me to rewind or what you want me to avoid. And then I'll go back and play forward around the stuff that's has made anyone uncomfortable. And let me stress, folks, the X card can be played for anything. I've had people play the X card because I'd named a non-player character unknowingly after, I think, their brother-in-law. And when that NPC started doing bad things, they got uncomfortable. So we just changed the name of the character, you know? So it could be something that can appear trivial but matters to you, in which case, play the X card. The other thing I'd say about the X card is if something comes up and you think, I'm okay with that, and then later on it comes up again, and you think, I'm not sure I am, just because you didn't play the X card the first time does not mean you can't play it if it comes up again, right? The X card is always there. Just because you thought it was okay the first time doesn't mean it's okay forever. And I suppose the other kind of safety tool we'll be using is at the end of the session, we'll do a debrief using stars and wishes. That's an opportunity to kind of highlight the stuff that you'd like to see more of, perhaps. Equally, the stuff that you'd like to see less of. I'll explain that when we get to the end of the session. But we are also playing using the Open Hearth Code of Conduct, which I sometimes caricature as don't be a dick. It is simply a way of playing collaboratively together so that everyone is helping everyone have a good time. That's the root of that code of conduct. So that's my pitch, I guess. I'd like to give the players a chance to introduce themselves, and then I'll go around a second time and ask them to introduce their player characters. So in the order I can see you on the screen, Pavel, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and anything else you want to tell us about you, your gaming experience, or your love of life. Up to you. No pressure.
Hi, I'm Pavel. I use he, him pronoun, and I just love playing games.
Dom, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and anything else you want the world to know.
Hello, my name is Dom, he, him pronouns. Been playing with the Open Half about 5 months now. Played a lot of different games, a lot of PbtA games. And I am looking forward to this. I originally saw the Eotenweard game during the Shared Heart event. But during that time, unfortunately, we couldn't get a game going. So I've been looking forward to seeing Eotenweard come back and the calendar, so I can finally get a chance to play it.
Fingers crossed you're not disappointed. Dominic, say hello, tell us about your pronouns and anything else you want the world to know.
Hi, I'm Dominic, he, him. I am from Germany. That's why I might have trouble finding words here and there. And I'm new at Open Hearth, and I'm very happy to have finally found a indie TTRPG community, which seems to be made up of cool people, and I'm really interested in what's happening tonight.
Well, I hope we don't let you down. So as I said at the start, my name's Ali, my pronouns are he, him. You can follow any of my gaming endeavors by searching for Gallus Games, Gallus Games, on Drive-Thru or on itch.io. And this game, who knows, may be available when you stumble upon this video in 6 months or 18 months' time. Time will tell. So, thanks to the players. Let's go back round and let's begin to learn something about the player characters in this Dark Age setting. So again, I'm going to go in the same order. Pavel, tell me something about Izold.
So Izold is a storyteller. He always was good at telling stories and capturing people's attention. He's sort of a bard, but instead of he does play his bagpipe, that's his instrument, but he usually prefers to tell stories. But yeah, in the evenings at the tavern, he can play and sing some songs to get the people go rolling. But in his travel, because because of his profession, he's traveling a lot, not to stay in one place. He learned about dark stuff, and even though his relation with the god isn't the best, he knows he's the one that he has to do something about it. So he searched the others to to conquer the darkness together.
Fine, I'll come back to that experience in a bit. And you are a Christian Briton, and even if God doesn't like you a lot, he liked you enough to give you a gift, the gift of smite. Fine. Let me go on to Dom. Tell us something about Kola, our hunter.
So Kola is going to be the hunter. The way I envisioned him was that he spent his life in like a small community, a village where he was a miner of sorts, going into the mines, because we do believe Kola is like a word for charcoal in like ancient Saxon. So that's right. But at one point while he was out in the mining, his small community was destroyed, and he found tracks of beasts. That was probably 17 destroyed, and since then he's vowed to hunt down the specific beast that took away his community, and he's been hunting the beast for decades. As he started as a youngish man, maybe in his early 30s, but now he's old and withered, gray and such. The years have not been kind to him, and it seems like his search for the beast is never going to conclude, but hopefully with the aid of his newfound allies, he might finally be able to come upon the beast that set his life for the past few decades.
I like that. So we have and I think you've described him as tired, in worn and tattered clothes. He's been on the road a lot. And finally, Dominic, say hello and tell us something about Gwylog, our Revenant.
Forgot to unmute myself. Hello. Yeah, Gwylog is a wanderer, an unassuming man, and that is by choice. He tries to, not ruffle feathers. He tries not to be recognized, because there is something in his past that he is quite literally running away from. I am thinking, like, since these kinds of characters are created while they're played, but I'm thinking right now that probably it's some sort of betrayal, which in that cultural context is like a bad sin, and maybe he was responsible for a war band under his command being wiped out, and he ran away, thought he was dead, woke up, and now he is trying to go on day by day.
And he didn't just wake up. He did in fact die and is now undead. No question about that. Yeah. Though that's not how he may appear.
And could we play it that he also is not aware yet that he's dead?
Oh.
Or does he know?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm prepared to indulge that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dead, but he doesn't know it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of questions I want to ask, and I suppose in the case of Izold, I'm interested about why do you think that the Christ God chose you? What characteristic in you do you think the Christ God identified that led to them giving you this gift? Pavel, are you still thinking?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes.
I thought you were still on the...
Oh, no, sorry, I've moved on to Izold. Sorry, I will start using your character names, I should have said. Oh, and I should also have said, all of you are playing in your non-native language. So, I appreciate that effort you're making. I used to claim that I was speaking in my second language, but my Welsh is sufficiently bad for me to not claim that. So, if I begin to gabble, and you're not catching what I'm meaning, for goodness sake, stop me and ask, okay? Because I am conscious that you three are playing in a language that is not your first, and I envy you enormously. My German runs to Ich fahre mit dem Bus und Schule, but you know what the hell? It's not much for a game. So let me go back to Izold. Izold, I'm curious what you think the Christ God has seen in you that made you a worthy champion.
I think Izold and I don't know, because we are not a mighty hero. We are just a guy who walks from place to place, knows a lot of stuff, and hears and heard all kinds of stories about supernatural. So Izold thinks it's his dumb courage, because even though he knows he's like physically prowess, he just like doesn't run away and try to like stay and fix the problem. But why didn't the god choose some worthy priest from the cathedral, or someone else, or someone else?
Who knows, eh? Who knows? Okay. Let me go to Kola next. Kola, we know that you've had a tough life, but at some point, Woden the Allfather chose you to give a gift. The gift of being able to see and hear things that otherwise you might not be able to see and hear. Why do you think Woden chose you?
I think it was because of Kola's tenacity, his undying need for closure, for revenge on the beast. He saw that, and he saw how far and how dedicated to his cause Kola was, that he was like, yeah, this seems like a good warrior.
And when you became aware that you'd been given this gift, I mean, did Woden appear to you? Did he whisper in your ear, "I'm choosing you, Kola"? Or not?
To fit in with the gift, I think he didn't like say anything directly to Kola. He just bestowed upon the gift to him, and then Kola started to notice that he could see and hear things that he previously couldn't, things that he probably shouldn't have been able to see in the first place. And
Fine.
he kind of just put that together with the old ways and the religious powers at the time, and he probably saw that he was blessed by a god. He probably didn't really care too much which god blessed him, but he acknowledged it and went about his way.
Fine. So he's concluded that Woden gave him this gift. Yeah, that's an interesting way to go. I'm intrigued by that. Finally, Gwylog, you know, when you woke up, I mean, your gift is survival. You know, you have survived and you've taken Payne's balm. Were you conscious that that was a gift from the old British gods when you awoke from your slumber? Or is this just a skill that you think you have?
I think like the way I imagine to go is since he doesn't know yet that he's dead, and then his path that he's on will lead through, like, you know, he's incompetent and a coward. That is what got him killed and his men. And now his path is to redeem himself by helping people and by proving that he is not a coward. And I was imagining this gift to be something that is revealed to him in a moment where he has an opportunity to help somebody, to heal somebody's pain, not necessarily his own, somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean that is the that's the harsh reality for him, isn't it? It can help with other people's pain, but not his own.
Yes.
That's lovely. I like that. And then I want to get some idea. Now, I'm going to go back to Izold first, Pavel. So you said that you travel the land, and have you fallen in with these other two? Or just randomly? Or do you feel that you've been guided? Is there something about them that makes you think that you should spend time with them? Because, you know, you're a Christian Briton. We've got a pagan Saxon and someone who kind of believes in the old gods from before the Romans. So why do you think the Christ God has guided you to these two? How did they guide you to these two, maybe?
Hmm.
Because you're an odd set, aren't you? Let's face it. You know, the ragged hunter, the slight, you know, this poor chap who's well worn but whole clothes, sad and forlorn, maybe a bit nervous under certain circumstances.
Well, I was definitely amazed with Gwylog's ability to help people. So is the pain balance, is it like a healing stuff or is it just like a mental healing?
However you want to interpret it, or however Dominic chooses Gwylog to interpret it.
Yeah. How do you think it manifests?
I would imagine that he like so that we can have this kind of reveal in game, like so that we can basically do both things at once. That we have this reveal later in game, but you already know that he is able to heal. So maybe he is like proficient in, like, you know, setting bones, creating poultices, that kind of stuff. But this supernatural part of it hasn't manifested itself yet. And maybe at some point you just you know, maybe you needed help and he came along the way and just set your finger for you after it got broken. And then you kind of stayed together because, you know, strength in numbers. 2 is not a big number, but it is a number.
I quite like the idea that it's not apparent these are supernatural powers for Gwylog. It just manifests as a skill, which is just really good. So does that help, Pavel, in terms of his old sense?
Yeah. Yes. As for Kola, well, when we are going to face some kind of darkness, it's always good to have someone around who knows how to wield a bow or a sword. I'm not sure what do you have, a bow and an axe. So it's always useful. And the fact that he still believes in the old gods. Well, I'm not really sold on my god that much anyway. So why not the old gods? I mean, who knows?
Works for me. Kola, why do you, or how did you come together with the other two? Because I think we've got an explanation of maybe why Gwylog and Izold first met. What brought you into this group?
What I'm thinking about, and Pavel and Dominic, you can interject and say if you don't agree with this. But I think that perhaps how Kola first made these two is that Izold and Gwylog met each other first, and then at some point, maybe when they were they were camping out on the road, they might have been like attacked by a pack of wolves or maybe a bear or something, and Kola, seeing innocent people at the mercy of wild beasts, came to interject, came to help them. And since it was evening, he stayed with them for the evening, and come morning, they were probably maybe traveling in the same direction. And afterwards, they decided to, okay, let's just continue going together because it seems like we work well together. Like I imagine that Kola maybe isn't too great in like social situations, and in that sense, Izold and Gwylog help him out.
Fine.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
so I mean, this sounds like a pragmatic partnership we're looking at here. You know, it's each of you sees potential benefits in the others. I will just go to Gwylog and say, is there anything you want to add to this kind of the way this relationship has developed?
Izold, are you trying to proselytize, or are you okay with your companions not being Christians?
I sometimes pray in the evening. I sometimes talk to the sky, and then so. But I don't have a problem with you being of different religion or trusting someone else. I mean, we are in this times where everyone has his own God. So I have mine, and you can have yours.
Very, very good.
A remarkably tolerant view of the world. Turn the other cheek. All these religions have equal value. That's a very fine point of view. Now I'm conscious that we're an hour in. I'm going to put a couple of breaks in every hour or so, I think. So I'm going to suggest that we pause now, and we're back in our seats. Is 5 minutes long enough, or do you like a bit longer?
No, that's fine.
No,
Yeah?
thanks for me.
Okay, I'll see you at 5 past the hour. So we're back from our first break, and we're going to start playing. And we begin play by arriving at the settlement of Tarham. And there are some moves associated with this. So I'm going to direct the players to the arriving tab, because you are going to co-create this settlement. And you are going to begin to outline some of the themes that will crop up as we define the challenges you face and the darkness that is overshadowing this place. So if you have a look at it, it says when the heroes first come in sight of the settlement. So I imagine, it's late on in the day, you come over at the brow of a hill, and there is this village down sitting below you, not very far away. The Fates, that's me, will name it Tarham and ask each of you to answer a question that will begin to shape the reason that, whether you know it or not, you have been guided here by your supernatural patrons, your gods. This is an opportunity for players to begin to shape the theme of the darkness in this place and the challenges you will face related to it. I will say it's important you listen to the contributions the other players make, because the risk in this is you go off at a tangent, and that will make it more difficult for you to solve the mystery, and frankly, more difficult for me to get you there. So what I'm interested in is, what is it that you see that suggests there is a problem here? Now, this could, as it says, this could be something unusual, concerning, or suspicious that as you cross the brow, the camera picks out. It could be referred to how this makes you feel, an emotion it raises in you, or a memory of something, a little bit odd, a dream, a vision that you may have had in the past, that suddenly you connect with this place. So
Can I jump in?
You can.
So I like the vision of us going maybe like exiting the forest to see it. And I like the idea of a village, and just like next to it, just like on the outsides, when there is like where the river turns on a small hill, there is like a ruined fortress that was like recently had like a huge battle. And maybe it's like still smoking even after a few days.
Okay. I mean, is the village untouched by that? Or is it showing signs of having had some damage to it?
I think the village shows signs of being damaged as well.
So as a theme, I'm picking up recent conflict. So
Yes.
yeah, give me a sense of how recent this is, Izold. Are people, literally beating out flames now? Is there, as one of the huts or a bit of the palisade that surrounds the village, is it still smoking? Or is it just that you can see that a week ago, somebody or something raided this place?
I feel like a week ago is a good moment.
Okay.
Maybe like few days, so that they have already like buried some of the dead.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a note here of village attacked a few days ago. Yeah. Okay. Let me go next to Dominic. What does Gwylog notice? And again, is it do you want to build on that, or do you want to relate this to some more allegorical sense of what he's remembered, what he dreamed of? Up to you.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Go on.
When you described how we're coming over the crest of the hill, I had an image of like carrion crows circling over the village, of the village being eerily quiet, and a stench of death and of decay wafting up from the village all the way towards us. And this totally works with what Pavel has established. I was more thinking in terms of like a plague, but it also works with and war and plague often come together. So that totally both works. And it stirs something in Gwylog, and I think when he like sits down on a on a piece of rock to think for a bit, he has these images of that battlefield and of like when he came back the next day and he saw all the dead there, and he smelled precisely that smell.
So a flashback almost to the moment of what we, the audience, do not yet know was his death, and the after effects of that.
Yeah, more this a strong central memory of like this first time when he witnessed what his cowardice had wrought.
Brilliant, brilliant. Paula, do you want to build on that? And how do you want to build on that? To give us to build on this idea of a theme of a village that's recently suffered an attack. It now looks like, you know, some of the bodies have been buried, but it looks like maybe there aren't as many people surviving as there were, and struggling to bury bodies. There's a stench in the air, carrion crows. Where do you go with that, Cola?
I think in addition to that, there's a lot of unease in the air as well. The people are frightened, they're unsure what's going to happen, and I think in Cola that steers like the memory like of his own village, of his own community, and how he came back to it, or doing it in Tatos, and to Cola, he feel like this isn't over, that this is just like the calm before the storm, and that something else is going to before this small community, this village, before long.
I like that, because certainly as in the writers' room, we love this because what we're getting is an opportunity to see some of the backstory of these characters. So that's brilliant. So I've got some themes to be working with there. Okay. You are also going to create the supporting cast, right? The next move is significant people. And to help with that, if you look at the Tarham, the village tag, your tab, you'll see that there's significant people of the settlement. Yeah. And each of you is going to create an NPC, a significant NPC who is going to be part of the story, of the narrative we're going to tell tonight. And we're going to describe that person with 2 words, a descriptor of their character and their role in the village. Okay. So let me start this time with Cola. Cola, or Dom on behalf of Cola. Who do you want to be part of this narrative we're telling? Do you want to start with their descriptor or their role in the village?
I think perhaps in the village it's going to be perhaps like an outcast.
Okay.
That's let's do this together.
And what is the what descriptor do you want to add to this outcast?
But I'm thinking perhaps loyal outcast, because I'm not sure if it's maybe too much information for this, but I'm like imagining maybe like a character that was a part of the community, was like close to the community.
I tell you
but
what,
then,
I am going to stop you there because I don't want you to paint yourself into a
Yes.
corner.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to leave this loyal outcast to be developed in play. Is it a he, him, a she, her, or is it unclear?
we'll let the fates decide that.
Okay, I'm going to make that a she, her. And if you want to have a look at the Saxon names down there at the bottom, Dom, this will be a low status by the sound of it, so it's probably just picking something from that first column, lower status names, and for a female, you kind of just add an A to the end. Let me go next to Dominic. On behalf of Gwylog, I'm going to tick the idea of an outcast who is loyal. So you can't have those two.
Okay.
So who else do you want in this story?
Since you made it a random table and I love random tables, I'm just going to roll with my physical dice here. So the descriptor is 2/2, so that is cowardly.
Okay.
And their role in the village is 4/6, which is a herder, a cowardly herder. And as for gender, I'll just also roll 1, 2 male, 3, 4 female, 5, 6 undetermined, and it is female. And
again, if you want to have a look at there, and we'll add a name shortly. And finally, Pavel, on behalf of Izold, a third significant person for this particular narrative. Who are you interested? What do you want? How do you want to describe them? Roll or choose?
I rolled some dice, and it turned out that a disloyal warrior.
Ooh, a disloyal warrior. Okay. Gender, she, her, he, him?
I think male.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just add up here at the top of the village the cowardly herder, who is a she, her. And Dominic, if you want to kind of pick a name off the low status Saxon, and add an A to the end of it. And while you're doing that, I'll add our disloyal warrior to the hall. And this is a he, him. And likewise, Pavel, if you want to pick a name and add it into that cell that I've just put them in. Whoops. There we go. And I get to create a lord or a lady. I'm going to create a lord. And I think this is going to be Lord Cuthgar. I don't think anyone's...
Do you want me to replace the disloyal warrior, or like how do I put a name?
Oh, just go into that cell and put a name, so and so, the disloyal warrior. You with me?
Okay.
I've put disloyal warrior in, or I think I have.
Yeah. Bjornhild, the disloyal warrior.
Just have a question. In your material, it says for low status Saxons, we should add an U for female characters.
Oh yeah, U or A. Sorry, I keep meaning to update that. Yeah. So
either or.
Donu, Iadu, Ianu, Ioturu, or Yotara. Take your pick.
Yeah.
And what characteristic do I want for our Lord Cuthgar? I think I'm going to make Lord Cuthgar aging. Aging Lord Cuthgar. And that is a he, him. Okay. So Bjornhild, the disloyal warrior. Gilda, the loyal outcast. Iadu, the cowardly herder. Brilliant. So these may be allies, they may be antagonists. We won't know till we play to find out. but they are going to be the significant people. And to help our audience on, because, you know, we need Netflix to pick up this pilot, guys, okay? So the camera is going to go down into the village and it's going to find each of these characters. So let me start then with our loyal outcast. What I'm looking for here, Dom, is what is it that suggests to our audience that Gilda is both loyal and an outcast? What is it we see her doing, or where do we see her that might hint at her place in this in the village?
I think you'll see Gilda trying to help the outward villagers, trying to help them with the damages. But as soon as she tries to help, they'll kind of just shoo her away.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. What about our cowardly herder, Dominic? On behalf of Gwylog, what do we what hints at either their role in the village and or their character?
Just again, I need to talk myself there a bit.
Yeah, fine.
With a herder, I assume she's like kind of low status and does like the jobs that you don't need any skill for in that village. So survival has been a theme for her in her life. And when the village was attacked, she probably fled into the woods and made some deal with the people who attacked the village.
Let's not paint ourselves into that corner yet.
Just now she is coming back to the village, and is visibly not as ragged and as worn as everybody else in the village.
Fine. So yeah, we see her emerging from where she's been hiding in woods across the river there, whatever it might be. We're gonna create some features around the village in a moment. And finally, Pavel, on behalf of Izold, what do we see of Bjornhild, the disloyal warrior, that either tells us what they do and or something about their character?
I wonder, as at this time and age, is writing common for commoners?
No, not at all. Not even for the Lord. Writing is pretty much limited to Christian priests at this point.
So I assume that we see that there are some people who are like living who doesn't look local, but doesn't look like the part of the raiders group who maybe have been here. And we see Bjornhild quietly chatting with this person, and then some pouch is exchanged between them. He's whispering directly to his ear, and then we see this person just walks out from this like behind the corner hiding, gets on the horse and starts to ride away, probably with some information from our disloyal warrior.
Fine, I like that. I wonder what that message contains and what it may yield. And I think in terms of our aging Lord Cuthgar, I think that we see him, he's carried out of the hall. He's a bit infirm, he's a bit fragile. And a couple of people are helping carry his big chair, his seat of judgment out from the hall to just survey the village. And we see him get up, and he gets up a little bit uncomfortably and stretches. And we just get the feeling that he's not got long to live, maybe. Okay? And then the camera comes back to your point of view, and we're going to identify two nearby places of interest. And the same thing happens here. I'm going to ask one of you to choose a descriptor and one of you to choose a place. I don't think I started. Let me start with Pavel. Would you like to choose a descriptor of this location, or would you like to describe what it is, i.e. the place? Descriptor or place? You talked about a ruin.
Yes, I'm just don't see this on the list of places.
We have Roman ruins.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we have this ruin as based on a Roman ruin?
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a Roman ruin nearby. I'm not going to have it right up next to the village because I want it to be a little bit separate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Roman ruin in play. Let me go, Dominic. Would you like to add a descriptor to this
Sure.
Roman ruin?
And the augurs say it's 6-2. That is a treacherous Roman ruin.
Treacherous. Well, I mean, if there's been raiders about, maybe it's unsafe.
Mhm.
Then, Dom, on behalf of Cola, would you like to describe the descriptor or the place for our second nearby place of interest?
Let's go with place first.
Okay. What are you looking for?
I'm going to do 2 dice and see what we get. We got a 3 and a 5, so that would be a moorland.
Moorland. Okay, so I think probably beyond the village, on the other side of maybe you've come over a low hill on this side, and then there's the village, and up there you can see this moorland. Pavel, would you like to describe what kind?
Can you tell me what moorland is?
Yes, imagine lots of heather. It's often a little bit bleak. It's often, how can I go further than that? What else do I want to say about moorland?
Like that kind of landscape in Lord of the Rings with the dead people in the water.
Yeah. Barren. It's no good for animals to feed. You can't grow crops on it. Yeah, it's wilderness. Does that help?
Yes.
So how do you want to describe it?
Let's go with haunted.
Never a bad choice. A haunted moorland. Okay, so nearby place of interest, we have a haunted moorland, and we have a treacherous Roman ruin. Brilliant. Okay. My next question is about the inciting incident. What is the thing that's going to draw you and this settlement together in some form? And you'll see there's a move called the Shadows Manifest. When the heroes reach the settlement, the Fates, that's me, will ask them to continue to build on the developing fiction and agree where the inciting incident occurs. Who haven't I started with? I'm not sure I've started with you, Dominic.
Okay.
So, is it at or just outside the settlement's boundary? Is it within the boundary somewhere in the village? Or is it actually at the Great Hall when you are offered hospitality by Lord Cuthgar? Where do you want this first scene of interest to be?
I imagine that the people in the village are busy and wary of strangers, so we're probably going to have to walk all the way to the Grand Hall.
Fine. So I'm seeing you walking through the village, and I think you're right. I think that you get lots of kind of suspicious glances. Not a good time to be an outsider. Let me then go next to Dom on behalf of Cola. What form does the incident take? Do you notice a heated conversation between non-player characters? Does something supernatural occur? Or does someone or something make a surprise or unexpected entrance or arrival? Or is there something else you'd like to suggest?
I think that perhaps, just to start things up, I think perhaps maybe, since the village is coming off a recent attack, that perhaps maybe there's like heated discussions about what they should do, how they should protect themselves.
Okay.
Perhaps something about the road and his warriors not
Well,
protecting the people.
leave it as a heated argument between some NPC, so I can go to Pavel and ask what Izold notices. So, the follow-up question says, who is involved? And if more than words are exchanged, how does the argument escalate? So who's involved in this argument? We've got 4 significant NPCs that we've got names for. Is it between 2 of those, or is it between one of those and one of our unnamed villagers? What do you think, Pavel?
Yeah, I'm thinking who should be there.
Well, you've reached the Great Hall.
I like the idea. I like the idea of Gilda accusing Bjornhild of treason, and like and that she seen him. I don't know, betraying the village or something like this. I like that idea.
Okay, so I think we probably hear Gilda. Bjornhild has come back to the hall where he's with his lord.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gilda comes up and says, "What did you give what did you give him when he left?" And I'm going to come up with a name for who he gave it to. Let's call them Kutha. Oh no, I've got too many Kuths. Sorry. Frith.
There are too many Kuths.
Yeah, far too many Kuths. Too many Kuths and so little time. So what did you give Frith before he took the horse and rode away? And I think that Bjornhild doesn't respond yet, but I am curious which, if any of you, how do you get involved in this? Because Cuthgar is on his feet and he sees you coming and he says, "Welcome, strangers. Our hospitality is not what it was, but you are welcome to it," as he leans on a staff. And that's when you see that argument, just behind him to one side. Maybe he didn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to Kola first, because this might be ringing some bells in terms of your tragic loss. But Kola, what, if anything, do you do?
I think Kola is going to keep an eye out on the argument, but at the moment, he's not going to do anything. This seems like a dispute between the locals. He has no idea what transpired. Something did happen, as evident by all the damage, but he doesn't have all the information, and so will choose to just stand guard at the moment and observe as the situation develops.
Okay, I'll let you observe. I think, given that we know that Gwylog likes to not draw attention to himself, and Izold, by profession, talks. So, Izold, I'm going to come to you and say, what do you say to the Lord? How do you interact with the Lord? You might have seen this argument going on over there, but I'm going to put you on the spot in terms of the Lord's greeting. Oh, you are muted.
Yes, I think Izold. I'm yet trying to get used to this name. Izold bows and kneels before the Lord Khadgar, and he says, "Well, thank you, my lord. On behalf of me and my friends, we are just very travelers looking for a shelter for a couple of nights before we move on. And seeing that your wonderful village, Tarham, I believe it is, has seen some better days. During our stay, we are really happy to work in exchange for bed and food."
Well, friend, we will share what we have with you, and you will see we are in need of help. and he says to the couple of people who've carried the chair out, he says, "No, I don't need that. I don't need that." And he kind of limps back into the hall, inviting you to follow him. Now, meanwhile, Kola, you've continued to watch what's going on behind him, but I just want to go to Gwylog and say, does Gwylog want to do anything other than follow Izold and the Lord into the hall?
I think it is crucial for us to make a good first impression with the locals. So I'm going to look around and see if I can help anybody anywhere.
Right. So actually live up to Izold's offer and go and start helping.
Yeah.
Is there anything particularly you want to do, or
the two things I had in mind would be, playing to my strength and either like helping somebody lift something heavy, like in the course of repairing a house or something, or attending to wounds.
I think that's an obvious one, isn't it?
Yes.
I think, yeah, that they have laid out, in as the sun is beginning. It's late afternoon. The sun will set soon, not dusk yet. And there is a hut from which you can hear groans and not screams. I think we're past the screaming stage. The screamers are already dead, but there are groans coming from that hut. And I'm seeing you go over there and dipping your head in, and we'll come back to you in a moment. Kola, you've been observing this conversation, argument, and I think it's reached the point where Bjornhild, who is a warrior, he has status in this, and Gilda has very little, relatively speaking. So I think that probably we see him just push her in the chest and knock her to the ground and turn away to follow his lord into the hall. What, if anything, do you want to do, Kola?
Yeah, of course, we're going to walk over to Gilda and help her back on her feet.
And I think she's... How old is Gilda? Is this a young woman or an old woman or just someone in their middle years?
I'm thinking perhaps like somewhere maybe in the middle years.
Okay.
Not imagined.
Yeah. And I think her first reaction is surprise. Because as we've seen in the preamble, she's not used to people here doing anything for her or accepting her offers of help. So she looks up at you and says, well, thank you. Who are you?
Just call me Kola.
I'm surprised you're prepared to help me. Nobody cares very much about me. And I guess what I'm interested in here, Kola, is where do you want this conversation to go?
I think Kola is going to try and like get some information out of her, like just he'll probably also talk like so what happened to the town. It does have to do with anything about the screaming match you had with the warrior just a moment ago. I just can get like some like information about what happened here, so he can be better prepared for that what is most likely going to come later.
Okay. I think we better engage with a mechanic. If you look at common moves, you'll find a move called Look About You. When you consider anything, anyone or anything, or any risks, opportunities, or possibilities in the scene, basically when you want an answer to a question. Roll plus sense. So I don't know if you've used this dice roller before, but you'll see at the top of the dice roller page, there's a little in gray, it says quick roll. And all you have to do is to roll 2d6 and hit return, and then add sense.
Okay, my sense is 1, so that's 2d6 plus 1. Let's see what we get. An 11.
Oh, so we're off and running. So on a 7+, pick one. I'll answer a question for you. Or actually, I'm prepared to invite you to give me the answer that she gives you. What does you can tell me what she says if you want to do a bit more creation. Or you can, you can agree a detail. Or yeah, I think so. It's do you want to tell me what she says, or do you want me to tell you what she says?
I think for the moment, I'll have you decide what she tells me.
They came in the night a couple of days ago, a couple of nights ago. All was quiet. Nobody was aware that we were at risk. And then out of the dark they came, just torches burning, people screaming, and look what they did. It's terrible. It's terrible. We have no enemies here. Lord Cuthgar is a decent enough lord. He's getting old, but he doesn't make enemies easily. Why did they come for us? And why did they burn the watchtower at the ruins? Does that seem like the answer, an answer that helps you, or do you want to go further?
I think that helps me.
Okay. I don't suppose you'd mind helping me back to my my hut, would you?
Not at all.
And we see you go off screen. Let me follow Izold.
Can I add that maybe it would be worthwhile for her to mention something about her argument with I'm checking the name.
With Bjornhild. I'm very happy for Kola to have picked that up. That's done. You know that there's been this argument, and we know, you now know, what the audience knows is that he sent somebody off with some kind of message, maybe he sent a message seeking help. Who knows?
Yes.
But I'm happy to have Izold follow the Lord into the hall, and to be followed by Bjornhild. And there'll be a couple of other people there who are currently nameless. What are you hoping to get out of this scene, Izold?
I think Izold wants to ask about the obvious thing, the damage to the village and the stench, because I think Gwylog mentioned some stench of death. So maybe we have so maybe we see like fresh graves just outside of the palisade. So yes, Izold politely asks about the recent events and how does the Lord and how can we assist the Lord for our brief stay in his village to resolve.
And I think before the Lord can answer, before Cuthgar can answer, Bjornhild intervenes and says, if they'd come in the day, we'd have seen them off. But they cowardly came at night. No one was expecting them, and they just swooped out of the darkness. I had hardly an opportunity to strike at one of them, let alone kill any. And interestingly, all the bodies are of villagers. It looks like none of the enemy have left any bodies behind. Where do you want to go with that, if at all?
Yes, I think Izold presses on, but who are they? Pagan Saxons? Someone else or something? And then he holds his voice and he says something darker.
I think I want you to look about you here. I want you to see what hints you get out of their response. So again, look about you, roll 2d6 plus sense. Unless you've got a playbook move that does something similar better.
No. Sense is 1. I got a 9.
7 plus. Kola, I must come back to you because you're due a 10 plus result. Forgive me. I was so interested in answering your question. I forgot about the 10 plus. So on a 7 plus, do you want me to tell you, or would you like me to tell you, or would you like to tell me whether there is a hint of the supernatural? I'll fill in the detail. Would you like there to be a supernatural component here?
Of course. Of course. But I'm wondering, or may ask you to suggest an answer that interests you. Yes, I think I would like some supernatural component to this answer. Yes.
And there's a pause, and Bjornhild looks like he's about to launch into something, and Kuthgar says, Bjornhild, enough for a moment. And he says to you, it was more than they just came at night. No one noticed any noise until the killing started. And everyone I've asked can't describe who attacked them. One member of a family survives. Someone bursts into their hut in the night. They get no impression of who it is, but then two of the family are dead. And then the thing is gone. I say thing. They moved with inhuman stealth. They were literally just came out of the dark. And people have said they were bearing torches, but other people say that they didn't, that they seemed able to move about as though it was day. Seem like good information?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Kola, on a 10 plus for Look About You, you get to roll with advantage to follow up on this information that you gained, okay? So bear that in mind if you follow up. Gwylog, let's have you enter that hut. And again, it must be said there is the stench in here of wounds that are going to go bad if they're not already going bad. This is anyone who's walking wounded is probably walking and helping to kind of do some work around the village. In here, people crammed together, groaning. Maybe somebody is in there, some family members are in there trying to just give them some water. But it's a pretty gory scene. What do we see you do?
I think what I'm doing is that, or what Gwylog is doing, is that he is. I wonder if at that time, I mean, you didn't have the concept of triage yet, but probably that's probably like a matter of like common sense that he like looks for somebody he can actually help, and then starts to change bandages and just yeah, help where he can help.
And I think maybe I see him calling one of the family who are in here trying to help these people and say, go and get me these herbs. Do you know where you can? It's a small plant. It's got little leaves. They're slightly blue rather than green. Go and get them. Bring me that.
Yes, and of course, of course, it's not just like barging in and starting to manhandle people. He is going to, like hat in hand, go in there and go like, good people, I am a experienced healer. Let me see what I can do. And then
they're very grateful. Anyone who could help their loved ones. In fact, there's probably a bit of pressure on you. Will you help my son? Will you help my wife? Will you help my brother? But yeah, so I suppose I need to know from Gwylog whether he is leaning into his gift here, or whether he's just doing what he can.
That is a good question. I think I would like to like how do you think it goes? What I can see is usually like before he threw back the tarp and was greeted with the sight and the stench, he was just thinking he's gonna like mend some bones. Now he is greeted and confronted with this really like abyss of pain and suffering, and he doesn't know that he has a gift and he doesn't know that he's dead. But as he's working, there is like something in the back of his head like guiding his movements, and he is he is you know, letting that voice of the gods, he assumes, just guide his hand. So to answer your question, yes.
So the power is going to flow through him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, then we have a move for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the gifts tab, and it's called Invoke Your Gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you call on your patron, or whether your patron moves through you, to empower your gift, agree with the fates what success will look like, and roll plus favor. So what will success look like here?
Success will look like that he is going to be able to mend something where his conscious thought would have thought that is unmendable. So maybe there is a really like some you know, some person who is like really torn up, like with a slashed open belly cavity, and you would say, okay, that is unfixable, and he just like manages to mend the wound, to sew it shut, and has a good sense that it's not going to get infected, and they probably will recover. And that is hoping against hope, but something tells him that the chances are good here.
Fine. So that's very clear for an outcome. Let's have you. It says roll plus favor.
Mhm.
And now you will find favor down near the bottom of your sheet, because favor is derived. It is soul minus any debts you owe your god.
Okay.
Yeah. And you will see at the moment down there in row 64, I think, 63, your gods, the old gods of Britain, your favor with them is currently 2. So you're going to roll 2d6 plus 2 to invoke your gift.
Okay. We just go over to the rolling thing. quite a few windows here to juggle.
Yeah.
And 2d6. So okay, let's see how that works. Roll.
Wow, look at that. 30. If only there was a better result than 10 plus. So what it says is 7 plus. They empower your gift and you achieve your aim. Pick one. Will you owe them a debt? Or will they either you offer them a blood sacrifice, or will they take a blood sacrifice from you? What do you think?
Maybe they will take a blood sacrifice in that I accidentally cut myself while I'm healing.
Well, I mean, neatly, if you then look at the harm track,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that there are 3 levels of harm: wearied, wounded, and dying.
Mm-hmm.
You work your way down the first one. So marking harm at this point makes you wearied.
Mm-hmm.
So put a tick in the wearied box.
Mm-hmm. So
And
then it's probably like a rather big cut, like all the way down my
well,
arm.
maybe it's not even a cut. Maybe it's just you're exhausted.
Or that maybe I just work like all through the night.
Yeah, you're in there an hour or more, and we won't define the time because something may happen to draw you out of there. But you're in there for long enough. Maybe you're more wearied than you would expect given the amount of time you spent in there.
That's also nice. So
Yeah.
just tick the one box there, right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So you've paid them. You don't need to worry about the 7 to 9. We go straight to 10 plus. You pick one. Your gift has greater impact, scope, scale, or duration.
Then I would go for scope, in that he really is able to get through a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
And then help a lot of people rather than helping one like nearly dead person.
I think that works perfectly here.
Yeah.
And I think that people begin to appear, and look in, because people begin to say it's amazing, it's miraculous.
And
look,
he's
look.
just working like with an iron focus without like expressions, almost like a dead man.
And people are in awe of this. That
Mhm.
it's remarkable what you've achieved. And the groans get less. People find some relaxation. Their pain is eased. It's remarkable.
Mhm.
And people are to an extent in awe of Gwylog at this point.
Mhm.
Let me go to Kola and Izold. I'm going to ask Izold first. The way this game, and I know, Pavel, I think you're familiar with carved in Brindlewood as a way of approaching games. In this game, in each scene where I think it's relevant, I could invite you to declare that you've had an insight into what's going on here. And I think given the conversation that you had with the Lord and Bernhild, you may be in a position to describe an insight. And what I'm going to do is draw your attention back to the Tarham tab. And I'm going to put Izold at the top of the insights table. And
Okay.
I'm going to invite you to tell me what you think you have learned about the darkness, the shadow, whatever it is that's sitting over this village.
I think that is it supposed to be specific or very vague or super extra vague?
I would go with vague rather than super extra vague. Vague enough for you to be able to knit it into the narrative later.
Okay. What comes to my mind is that somehow someone must have angered the spirits.
Go on. Anything else, or is that enough?
I'm not really sure to what extent should I go with it. Should I just leave it as that, or should I say, or should I like specify that someone has that it is like a physical object, a marking? Should I like go into more details, or just like leave it that?
What I've written down is that the spirits are angry with the spirits are angry, in fact. Yeah, because that's vague enough to do lots with, and you can explore that.
Yeah.
You want to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Kola, you help our Gilda back to her hut, which is, it's oh, that's a great picture, Dominic. I just don't know if we can see you in it at the same time.
Yeah, no, we can't.
But that's a great image of what this village is looking like. Kola, I think probably it's hardly a hut. It's more some cloth and some wood and some branches leaned against a bit of surviving palisade on the outside of the palisade from the village. And you take her back there. Do you want to do anything else with that, or is it just a chance to see Kola being nice to people?
I think it's mainly to see Kola being nice to people. He's going to suggest to Gilda that if she cannot, she finds a good place to potentially like barricade herself in and hide. Because to Kola, he believes this is only like the beginning of the chapter, that whoever did this, because Kola has yet to probably talk to Izold and they share the information, that who did this, they came in the night, they attacked, and now they're waiting. They attacked, they wounded their prey, and now they're just lying in wait, waiting for them to let the guard down, waiting for them to stress about themselves before they strike again. So he just got to find a safe place.
And I think that she looks at you and she says, they hate me, but I don't hate them. I will stay.
Your devotion to the village is commendable.
I'm inclined to bring you all back together as dusk arrives. So, all the villagers will come to the hall to get something to eat. And you are there. What, if anything, I'm going to assume that there's a conversation which allows you to share the information that you've gained. But I'm curious about the conversation that leads us to what you do next. So, Gwylog, you hear this information that they've collected. what's your thoughts about what happens next?
I just want to ask before we play this, can you say something more about this insight? And then I see roll for revelation, because as like, are we supposed to just like collect the insights? Like,
Yeah.
what is our?
No, thank you for that. I should have explained. If you have a look at the Tarham tab, you'll see that I've put Izold and some detail of the insight he's had.
Mhm.
And you'll notice I've put a tick in the little tick box next to it. I've declared the depth of the shadow at this place to be 4. That's the difficulty of solving the mystery here. And every insight that you gain reduces that difficulty. So at the moment, there is a move called Revelation, which will be, we try to solve the mystery. At the minute, you are rolling Revelation at -3. So the more insight, so, you know, as I will be ticking more of these boxes, you will see that Revelation, actually, I think probably, given there's only 3 of you, I'm going to set the depth of the shadow at 3. As you come up with more insights, the potential is for you to end up rolling with Revelation at +3. That's as good as it gets. Yeah. But at the moment, if you use that one, you're rolling at -2. Does that help, Pavel? I should have explained that. I apologize.
Okay, so I take from what you said that one of our goals should be to like look for the insight actively and try to find them.
Yes.
Cool,
And I will tell you now that insights, every scene in theory, if I think it's valid, I could invite you to declare an insight. But
Okay.
also, each of the nearby locations has the potential to offer you an insight. Okay?
Okay.
So thanks for the clarification, for inviting me to clarify. I tell you what, it is 2 minutes past the hour. I'm going to suggest we take our second break now. And I need to just pop upstairs. So could we be back in our seats at 10 past the hour?
Sure.
Yeah.
See you then. I'll pause the recording. Okay, we've returned from our commercial break to find our 3 heroes in the hall. The Lord has thrown open the hall for everyone to come and share what food they bring and what food is provided. And it's pretty poor food. You know, the hospitality is warm and welcoming, because particularly for Gwylog, you know, we notice people, you know, kind of, yeah, it's him. That's the one, him. But I want to give you a chance to have a bit of conversation among yourselves, so we can begin to see how you interact together. So what's the nature of the conversation? Who starts it?
I think it will be all like sit down, and perhaps like as this we want to start chatting, like we overhear people like pointing to a Gwylog and think, oh, that's the guy, that's him. So Kola will just kind of just look at that and be like, seems you become quite a local celebrity.
Yeah. I just hope we're not drawing the wrong kind of attention here. What did you find out?
Well, it seems that whoever did this came in the night. No one really knew they were here, they were coming, and for some reason, I heard that they burned down the watchtower over the ruins nearby.
What has Izold got to add to that?
I've the Lord and his men told me various things about the nightly visitors. I've heard about various things happening in our land. I think the spirits of this place are restless and angry, and seeing that the locals seem like nice people, someone must have done something to anger the spirits. An idea who might be responsible?
How would we know? But while we're here, we can try to help and do what we can to make it, to ease their burden.
We need to prepare them. this is only the first of many strikes against them.
And I
If,
think,
thing-
go on.
if things continue like this, they'll just let down the guard. They'll think they're safe, and in that moment, the spirits or whoever it be coming in place of the spirits will strike again. We have no
And
time to.
that's a perfect segue for the fact that you become aware that people are saying, what's that? And people are going quiet as they're listening, and you can hear the cawing of crows.
Mm.
It's a thatched roof, so and when everybody goes quiet, you can hear lots of activity on the roof and the cawing of crows, and then you become aware of a smell, the carrion smell, the smell of death here in the hall. What do you do, Gwylog? Because this smell is so reminiscent of what you encountered in that room and what you encountered when you arrived. What do you do, Gwylog, if anything?
So the song of the crows is more familiar and putting me at ease, but the smell is not. So I'd like to do that take stock action that we did earlier.
Look about you.
Yes.
See what you can learn. Fine. So look about you, roll plus sense.
Let me just quickly see what my sense is. My sense is 0. Yeah, that checks out. So 2d6 and roll.
Wow, you guys are killing me tonight.
Oh.
That's a 10. So on a 10, I will answer a question, or if you're interested in this going a certain direction, I'm happy for you to do it, or for you to declare a detail that you notice.
Let me just have a quick think. So you said that smell, and I think because it would just be too dumb and too shallow, would I like to rule out that it's me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
And I think I stand up and I ask the people, what is that smell? Does that happen more often?
And I think that somebody next to you says, well, it smelled like that actually on the night of the attack. I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought somebody'd left some rotting meat somewhere, but I caught it on the wind. I think it happened on that night. Now, what I want to do at this point, though, Gwylog, is I want to invoke my seeming human move, because you've had quite a lot of interaction with people by now. So let's just check out seeming human. So you are rolling plus soul. So do your thing.
Do you happen to know what my soul is?
I think it's
right?
2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's hard locked at +2.
Yeah. On a 9, 7 to 9, any mortals you encounter during the session are inexplicably suspicious of you, so you make social rolls with disadvantage. And then he looks at you. What is it? Because I said I was going to ask you that question about what is it that what do you want to conceal? What is it that they notice about you that you may not even have noticed about yourself that begins to hint at your nature?
I think, again, let me talk myself there. The thing that Gwylog is hiding is his cowardice and his self-loathing and his longing for connection and for people. So I think that will express itself in like a very, very intense stare. And maybe when his mien drops, his face becomes more gaunt. His teeth seem longer, and his eyes start to glow in the light of the fires.
Fine. I've intense stare, intense eyes glow is what I'm going to note down here for the moment. And
kind of like a cat's eyes.
yeah. And it's not obvious. We, the audience, will see it, but this person glances back, and when they glance back, it's back to normal. But there's that nag, and as they go away, you know that they're going to talk to people and say, that fellow who was helping with there's something odd about him.
I think when the people say, "Oh, it's the smell," that happened at night, that Gwylog would just stand up so that everyone can see him, draw out his axe, and just loudly just say, "I believe I believe we're going to be attacked." Just like then, I want all the young and injured to get some safe, and any able-bodied person to pick up a weapon and be ready.
I would, before I leave Gwylog, I'm going to say, Gwylog, remember that you got a 10. So if you follow up on this, what you learned by looking about there, you will roll with advantage. Cola, I think this is, can you convince people to listen to you rather than the people they usually listen to? So I think this is the convince them move. So this is roll plus subtle. Because you've certainly got leverage. There's the smell of death in this room.
Yeah, so my subtle is, let's just 2d6 for me.
Okay.
That's an 8.
Still a success. So on 7 to 9, they agree, but they pick 1. I think this is simply that they are going to go with this suggestion, but they look to the Lord first. And the Lord looks at you and nods to them. Yes. Protect the hall. Bring the wounded here. And that begins to happen. Izold, what are you doing as people begin to organize themselves, if anything? Or are you just watching?
I would like to use myths and monsters and
Aha.
recall a relevant myth. So it's on me to say what it is.
It would be great if you want to come up with something because it adds to the fiction. But don't feel an enormous amount of pressure if you just want to say, I remember a myth.
I think Izold heard that the music and the songs that are being sung during funerals, they put spirits maybe not at ease, but kind of like it's a music to them, so they are like slightly calm down. So as people are rushing in rushing out, he would like to Izold will like grab his bagpipes and go outside, stand on the outside of the Great Hall, begin playing this like really sad like music that is being played when there is a musician and a funeral to somehow ease the spirits, and seeing that maybe, and he hopes that they will like, I don't know, maybe not attack, maybe give some people some time.
Yeah, no, I like that. And so, yeah, as a kind of a shield wall of sorts begins to form outside the hall to repel these, I'm seeing you there, getting the bagpipes going, and this lament is over the village. And the doors of the hall are open behind you, and the light is spilling out. And so all of your shadows are being cast out into the space of the village. And as you begin to play, or just before you start to play, you can see some of those shadows are beginning to move independently of the people who cast them. I just want to check in where Kola and Gwylog are at this moment. Kola, you were all in favor of, defending the village. Are you out there in the shield wall or somewhere else?
would probably be where all the warriors and everybody who is able to fight, who picked up a weapon, maybe a rake, a makeshift spear, what have you, is probably with them, just like getting ready to defend the people who are too injured or too young to fight for themselves.
Okay. Gwylog, what about you?
First of all, can I, with my good roll earlier, see the shadows moving too?
Oh, that's clear to everyone. You don't need
Oh,
to,
okay,
to make
okay,
a roll
great.
for that. As long as you're outside, I just wanted to check where you were.
Yeah, I think I will go outside. Like, I really liked Dom's idea of going to protect the weak, which probably are most of the people now. But I feel compelled to join a shield wall. Yeah, yeah. Can I see, like, is there some like you know, game recognized game situation with me noticing something regarding the shadows, me being dead?
Well, I'll come back to you because we're still halfway through Izold's.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is you've helped usher the wounded into the hall,
Yeah.
and then you're returning to where Kohler is trying to organize the kind of non-warriors. And there are probably a handful or two of warriors who've got shields and spears who are forming the shield wall. And then, the rest of the villagers who are able-bodied are behind that wall.
Actually, I would like to take that back because I will stay in the hall and convince myself that I'm staying there because somebody needs to protect
The wounded.
exactly.
Fine. Okay.
I'm not at all avoiding the fight.
Okay. So Izold, that move gives you advantage in relation to something supernatural, and I absolutely agree this is relevant. These shadows are beginning to move independently of the people casting the shadows. Do you want to lean into attend to me and look to create an advantage using attend to me that will apply to this situation? Because you've got advantage to use that move because it's related to your myth and the idea of playing this lament. Or have you got something else in mind?
Uh,
Because you wanted to
Yeah.
slow these things down, didn't you? And one of the outcomes for attend to me is they stop and listen.
I'm not yet familiar with how we are confronting the threat. You
Okay.
did mention that we can confront them with
You can.
not only with blades. So I was thinking of maybe confronting them to strip them of their. I'm not sure if this like fits the fiction, but
No, it absolutely does. No, yeah, you're ahead of me there. Yeah, no, absolutely. Confront them with the quality of your music. Fine. Now, the way this works is I need to tell you that this threat has a number of defenses. Okay. This threat is incorporeal, so they're not, solid. And they driven by revenge. Right? So they are interested in doing harm. So what I'm feeling at the moment is that the defense that you want to overcome is that drive for revenge. You want to calm them down.
Yes.
Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Fine. So let's have you target that. You are going to roll. I think subtle is the skill of words and music. Unless you want to go a different way.
I think it makes sense.
So roll with subtle.
And do I roll for advantage?
You do indeed. So 3d6, take the top two. Ooh, at last, I begin to see some light in the tunnel. No 10 plus.
Yes, it's 9.
7 to 9. Now, I will tell you, there is a move called Help Yourself, which would allow you to re-roll 1 or 2 of those dice. Are you interested in that as a possibility as we explore the mechanics?
Of course, why not?
So when you're dissatisfied with the outcome of a roll and you're calling, your storyteller calling is absolutely on the money here, so it's relevant. Ask your patron for help and pick one. Owe your patron a debt. And to be honest, that's the only one I'm going to make applicable here, because I don't think the Christ God is going to demand a blood sacrifice. So owe your patron a debt, and you'll find that down the bottom of your character sheet, where it says the Christ God, currently debt is 0. If you hit the drop down, you can set the debt at 1.
Yes.
Yeah, and that reduces your favor for the future. But it allows you to re-roll 1 or 2 of those dice. Which one do you want to keep?
I think I'm keeping the 4, so I'm re-rolling 2 and 3.
Yeah, so just roll 2d6. Oh, wow. A 5 and a 6. Okay, so I'm guessing you'll take those 2 from the
13, yes,
Yeah,
please,
yeah,
a total
makes
of
sense.
13.
Okay, so so that 7 to 9 becomes a 13 and 10 plus. So on 7 plus, that urge for revenge is dampened down. Yeah. On 7 plus, they pick one. The threat picks one. I think that they will take the opportunity to flee. I think that they're not going to pursue this confrontation. They've come up against something that they were unexpectedly driven back by, and the shadows go back to being the people that are casting them. And everyone looks at you. Yeah, because on a 10 plus, you also say how you force them to where they are at disadvantage. Well, they're retreating, so that's not playing in play. Dodge their attack, sacrifice an item. Actually, that I've missed. Sorry, when I was updating this, I missed one out. It is be owed a debt by those watching. So you are now owed a debt by the village. Yeah?
Yeah, makes sense.
And there's a place for you to put that down the bottom where there's the settlement of Tarham, and there's an opportunity to increase the debt they owe you by 1. It's down below the gods.
Yes.
Okay, fine. And Kola, you see this happen. What's your reaction when this happens?
I imagine this is probably like the first time Gwylog has actually seen Izold do this type of stunt. He's able to actually like calm down these spirits or like the darker forces away, and cause them to stand there, mouth agape, impressed.
And I want to say that there's a kind of stunned silence when the bagpipes stop. And you think you hear something moving out there in the darkness. Those acute senses you have. Now, I haven't asked you yet, because I wanted to give you a chance to play in. Your compulsory move is that you have a hunting beast. Yeah? So say what it is and agree with the fates, the basic moves to it. So you have a beast that helps you hunt things. Right? So what kind of beast? You know, is this a big dog, a small dog, a hawk? What is it? Because it is connected to you, and it may enhance one of your moves.
I think for Gwylog it's going to be perhaps some kind of a bird, perhaps a hawk, perhaps maybe a crow instead, that isn't with Gwylog. It kind of like comes and goes as it pleases. Seemingly, when Gwylog needs help, it conveniently always arrives.
Fine.
But
And when it does arrive, it can offer you advantage on a move, right? Because what the move says is, agree with the fates, the basic move that it could grant advantage to. So, you know, which of those common moves? Is it an attack hawk? Is it a scouting hawk? What kind of what do you want it to advantage you with?
I think it may be really that it's like a scouting hack, a scouting bird.
Fine.
It basically just scouts out and possibly brings like something that indicates to Koala what's up ahead.
Fine. Yeah. Because the reason I wanted to pursue that was that I'm going to ask you, I think, to engage your that way, it went that way. When you
Yes.
when you look about you to find or follow someone or something's tracks, roll with advantage. So roll, you've heard something moving out there. Roll 3d6, we'll take the top two and add sense to it.
Yeah, my sense should be 1. Okay, so it's +1. And that's a C.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's 7.
Right. For a moment, then I thought it was just going to be 3, but that's 7. So on a 7, I can tell you, I think, that this thing is moving out to the village. Whatever it is, it's moving out to the village. Before I ask you what you do, I'm going to go back to Gwylog. Everything went quiet outside after the and you know, there's people kind of saying, "Oh, they've gone. They've gone." The bard, the storyteller, the skald, they just left when he started playing. What do you do, if anything, Gwylog?
I don't think I'm doing much. Like I'm of course I'm like my curiosity will lead me outside to see what happened, but I think I probably won't see that much anymore. So I'll just go, Izold, your god is starting to impress me.
Before I comment, I want to ask Gwylog, but not like from character perspective. Do you think my music somehow affects Gwylog, since he's the undead as well?
I don't think I want to go that far.
Okay,
'Cause
just okay.
if I'm
it was
honest.
just for flavor.
Yeah.
Does he feel something? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, then if it's just for flavor, Dominic, it's up to you. Do you want Gwylog to be affected by the music?
I think that depends on whether the shadows are actually like undead or connected with the dead.
That's my thinking at the moment. We don't know that they're undead. So
Okay, yeah.
I think it's a risky connection to make. Again, we
Okay.
might be painting ourselves into a corner.
Okay.
But you get outside in time for Kohler to say, it went that way. Something went that way. And my question to Kohler is, what are you going to do with that understanding, that insight, that thought?
According to turn to Gwylog and Izold, in fact, it went that way. We should press this opportunity, strike while there, unaware, move forward.
If you run in it after this into the dark forest, if you say so, let's do it.
So Kohler, you take off into the darkness following it. Izold follows you. Gwylog.
I can't not follow. I grab my axe and like with a quite a bit of distance, I follow too.
Fine. So Kohler, you chase this thing, and you will want to put a tick in the aid memoir that says the first to step into danger, or words to that effect, under experience. Because don't forget that. And also, I'm going to remind all of you, remember, when you roll with an attribute, put a tick in the box. I put a tick in soul for you, Dominic, because
thank you.
rolled to invoke your invoke your gift. And yeah, Kohler, you go for it. You chase this thing. What will you do if you catch it out there in the darkness?
To Kola, the only thing he survives that this thing authorities that it attacked the people, it did harm, it killed the villagers, it destroyed the houses. It reminds him of his legend how the extremely dark forces destroyed it. So when he finds it, he's not going to stick around and like ask questions. He's going to put his blade to its neck if it has one,
Fine.
and basically take care of it.
Let's have you roll
Also-
to face a challenge with steel to get close to this thing.
Six plus steel. That's 2 for me. And that's a 5.
Ooh, a 5. Well, on a 5, and I won't bore you with why I'm doing it, but I'm putting a tick in a box. On a 5, the next thing you know, something throws you, just grabs you and throws you. And I think, Izold, the next thing you know is Cola comes out of the darkness at you, just thrown away into the at you. What do you do, Izold?
I try to somehow catch him to like lesser the impact so that he doesn't like smash into the tree.
Let's have you face a challenge. I think it's a physical challenge here, so it is roll plus steel.
Oh boy, that can turn out really
But
bad.
you get to tick the steel box. That's a good thing.
I do. So much tabs to switch. Steel, -1, 2 dice. -1. It's a 7.
Hey, that's not so bad. I think you do reduce the harm. I'm going to give Cola 1 harm instead of the 2 I was going to apply. And I'm not even going to apply anything of that to Izold. And Gwylog, you come up to find, I think, probably Izold on the ground, having caught Cola. What, if anything, do you do?
What does it look like? Did Kola get attacked?
Well, Cola, you got thrown. Maybe you saw them just appear out of the darkness, Gwylog, and Izold tried to catch him and just cushion the blow as he fell to the ground. Something just threw him backwards.
Well, then of course I'll see if he's hurt and if I can help.
He's wearied, so he's shocked rather than actually damaged. I think that's right, isn't it, Cola? You've just marked the first harm. Yeah. So he's a bit shaken rather than hurt. But the 3 of you are there. It is completely dark. What do you do?
Then I'll like try to try to speak to his soul rather to his body and go, you've been a hero tonight. You've done enough. Let's go back and make sure that the villagers are safe.
What do you think, Izold? Have you done enough?
I mean, I think that if those are unearthly spirits that we are facing, and I don't think any of our weapons can hurt spirits, so we have to.
And in the night we are fighting in their battle.
Yes.
Let us see, what is down that road when we have daylight.
Cola, what's your view of that?
Yeah, I was going to stack grunt a bit and like perhaps you're right. I'm not too used to fighting things that can't be actually hurt physically.
And so I'm going to cut to you back at the hall where people are just.
Can we just I want to suggest that are we coming back to the village from the direction of Haunted Moorland? Were we going closer and closer to the Haunted Moorland as we were going there?
I am very happy for you 3 to agree which way that thing was moving. Was it moving towards the ruins or the moorland? I.e., which one are you most interested in looking at next? That's my assumption.
My immediate assumption was the ruins, but Moorland looks sounds really, really good too.
Cola, you're the hunter, you're the tracker here. And you also followed it, it must be said. So maybe I should come to you first.
Yeah, it should be your decision.
Ruins or moorland?
I think that perhaps the Rodents are somehow connected. We'll figure out how. But I believe like these spirits that we were chasing did, at least for tonight, come from the Morans, I think.
Okay, so the moorland is top of the list. I want to cut back to the hall, where I'm going to invite you to shape 2 insights, because I think quite a lot has gone on in that extended scene. So I'm going to invite, I think, Izold to shape an insight based on, you know, the bagpipe playing and the shadows moving. And I think I'm going to invite Kohler to phrase an insight based on having come face to face with something in the darkness. And I will stress, Kohler, that you heard something moving out there, right? And that sounds like it was something corporeal, something solid, but I don't want to influence you too much. So Izold, do you want to phrase an insight based on your experience in that scene? Now, let me just, because you may not be familiar with this way of solving mysteries. At some point, I'm going to ask you to connect these insights together into a coherent explanation of what's going on here. So when you are phrasing insights, you should be thinking about maybe the bigger picture you want them to fit into. Okay? Don't know if that helps or hinders, Pavel.
I kind of wanna somehow connect it to the burnt watchtower at the Roman ruins.
Okay.
But I wonder how to phrase it. Is it into like an insight?
I suppose the challenge there is we've decided that whatever it was came from the moorland. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it might be tricky to immediately build. You might want to leave that until you've dealt with the moorland. But sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Phrase an insight. You have the power to do it. Go for it.
It's really tricky to invent like a vague clues, because from what happened, I played music and just calmed them down, but it was already done. So no point.
I mean, I can suggest one.
Yeah.
Music soothes the savage beast.
Yes.
I mean, it's a bit direct, but because these will become truth in the fiction. What about Kohler?
Now for the healing, did Kohler hear it like near the village, or did he just like hear it in the general area that we established?
I think that so he heard something moving out there, and he was pretty confident it was in that direction. He took off into the darkness, and then the next thing he knows, something has caught hold of him and just thrown him. I don't know what else I can tell you about that bit of the scene.
As I think that what Kohler heard, that he heard it, perhaps the movement of, no, okay, how to phrase this? The movement of perhaps like tools, like steel tools hitting a rock in the ground.
Okay, so give me a phrase, give me a sentence that sums that up.
Yeah, that's essentially to phrase.
I mean, something like it carried metal. I mean, was it the clanking of metal, the scrape of metal that he heard?
Yeah, I imagine it's like some kind of like a scrape, like someone was doing work with like metal tools.
Okay. I'm going to put metal tools, weapons, or implements. So we keep it as broad as we can. Does that seem like, is that vague enough to cover what you think he heard?
Yes, because I don't really wanna like I have like some ideas about what maybe it would go, but I don't wanna paint us in like any specific direction.
Fine. Now, I'm struck by the fact we're now 10 to time. So I think that that's a good point for us to pause, because I don't know we're going to get much else done about any of that tonight, and then we'll finish. We'll move our way on through. Currently, you're rolling for a revelation at +0, so a couple more insights, and you're in good territory. I'd like to do that stars and wishes thing I talked about. I don't know how experienced you are with that. I know Pavel's done it before, so I'm going to start with him. Now, stars could be things that you enjoyed, that another player, contributed, something good in the game that you want to make a comment about. And then wishes are things I wish that we didn't do it that way. I prefer if we did it this way, or next time. Could be anything. I'd like to make use of this move, or I'd like to see the narrative move in this direction or that direction. Okay, so Pavel, let me start with you. Any stars, any wishes?
I really liked the idea of creating Tarham. Its people, its problems, its surroundings. That was cool. I like that we could affect the monsters, not on the supernatural, not only with the edge of the blades, but also with other ways. And I really like the idea of the undead healer who doesn't know that he is undead himself.
Or in fact, a miraculous healer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll move on round stars. I'll come back for wishes. Dominic, any stars?
Yeah, like I think my favorite thing that happened was the suggestion by Paul that the music might have influenced me. That was just a lovely like lateral thinking move. And in general, I really like the collaborative and like what you just did with these insights. That was really interesting. Yeah.
Great. Glad you enjoyed it. Dom, what about you? Any stars?
I enjoyed the assessment and the NPCs we created. I've played like a few games where the players like help like build a setting, the place where the fiction is going to happen, but not really go into like the characters, like the NPCs are going to be present. So that's something new that I quite like. I do enjoy like the whole insight that we have and like how we can eventually connect it, because it's like the first time I've done like this. I know that like it's the Blinderwood does it. We just like have out of like disconnected clues and then you connect them together. So it's my first time actually playing with that mechanic, and I'm interested to see where it goes. So start that.
That's
And as
great.
mentioned before, starts for I believe the actual like setting, because I never really like heard about the game that takes place in like the Anglo-Saxon before the Vikings, after the Romans, like that whole like period. It's usually just like some kind of general medieval era. So interesting that can be told in this setting, this like time frame, and starts to my fellow players and the characters, and as Dominic also mentioned, like that whole introduction of does music affect the dead Revenant or not?
Yeah. I thank you for that. My stars, bagpipes. It's not something that's come before, and then using bagpipes to frighten off some spirits is a leap of great imagination. I love that. I love the idea, Dominic, that we have an undead revenant who doesn't know he's undead, and may in the next session begin to discover some clues to that. And I love the idea that we've got a hunter who's, you know, is in pursuit of something, a beast out there somewhere. And maybe we'll build some connection between the events here and that beast. And yeah, thank you for, you know, committing to the game and committing to the kind of feel of the game, because I think you've all dropped into that really neatly. So those are my stars. Let me go back round for wishes. Pavel, anything you'd particularly like to see in our what could be our finale session?
I would love to see this hunting beast in action. The hunting beast in action.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm really curious about our. I'm really curious about us going to the ruins or the haunted moors, and yeah, I like seeing various locations that now we have created.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shame having created them not to visit, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Dominic, any wishes for next time?
Yeah. Like on a mechanical level, like to get to use my my burden, because I don't quite understand how that works yet. And reading that, I thought the cowardice herder, I would really like, you know, her and Gwylog to really bond on their like shared cowardice and like really have a good rapport with one another. And on a more meta level, but maybe we can talk about that when the recording is off. I would really like to do all 4 sessions, but we'll talk about that later.
Fine. And what about you, Cola? Sorry, Cola, Dom. Any? I've made the transition now. Any wishes for next time?
So for my wishes, I wanna see like the NPCs and what they do in the upcoming session. And besides that, I am interested to try to see how Gwylog discovers that he is in fact undead. Does he perhaps like fall into a sword and just be like, "Oh, this doesn't hurt at all"?
Yeah, what is that smell? Yeah, no, fine. No, I'm very curious about whether you want to go that way, Dominic. So yeah, my wishes. I want to pick up the pace next time. I ran it pretty gently tonight just to introduce you to the rules and to get the characters bedded in and the situation sorted. So I may do a bit more hard framing next time to just move us on. But no, I just want you to carry on enjoying yourself. So those are my wishes. I have, as I always do at this point, realized I haven't done end of session XP, so let's do end of session XP. So left to right on the character keeper as I see you. So we have, did you step into the unknown first? I think you did, Cola. I think Cola stepped in the sense I invited him to leap into the darkness, and he did. So give yourself an XP. Did you address a challenge with cunning? I'm not sure I saw cunning unless you can give me an example.
For Cola, no, he didn't do any cunning. He just kind of observed and then acted when the threat was there.
Fine. So maybe a wish from me next time is to see Cola being cunning. Don't know. Next, Pavel for Izold. Did you draw risky attention to yourself?
No, I don't think so.
I'm inclined to say that you did, actually.
Yeah, with the bagpipes.
Yeah, you stepped into the darkness.
You confronted spirits with a bagpipe.
Okay.
You know, that there was a risk in that, so give yourself an XP, I think.
Okay.
Did you address a challenge with knowledge? Yes, because you invoked that myth and monsters, the idea of your knowledge helping with that. So 2 XP. Dominic, for Gwylog, I think you did address a challenge with kindness. Absolutely. Yeah. But I think we did see the influence of your burden, this longing. You know, you went to the weak people, you went to the people in danger. you went, you try to make connections with people.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I think you can have 2 XP as well. And let's do it now, because otherwise I'll forget about it. A good night's sleep and a restful night will clear one of those boxes. So both Cola and Gwylog, you can clear wearied, because when we pick up on the next day, next time, you will not be wearied. Okay, so let's clear that now, and then I won't have to remember it. Okay, folks, thank you. I'm going to end the recording there.